The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is our Carlsbad community correspondent. Please welcome back to the show Mr. Carlsbad himself, Bryan Devore, and his special guest, estate attorney Brenda Geiger.
They're here. All right, they made it. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing very great, thank you.
Really interesting subject today. Talk about investment properties, some advantages, tax advantages, advantages in the law through estate planning and stuff along those lines. And we asked people in Carlsbad if they would buy investment property in Carlsbad, so we'll be doing that via social media shortly. Bryan,
Yes.
you wanted to bring in Brenda today.
Yes.
Well-known attorney in Carlsbad. Tell me why.
So in my practice, I'm asked a lot of times by my clients, how should I hold title? All these different legal questions, which I'm not a lawyer. I can't answer those questions. So I have to tell my clients, I'm not a lawyer. I can't answer those questions. So the good news is I decided to bring Brenda on so now she can tell your viewers the answers that they may have about the law as it relates to real estate.
Okay. And Brenda, now a lot of times lawyers can't answer questions either because they have to say, well, it depends on a lot of different things. But today, there are some general guidelines that you can use. For example, if you're buying an investment property, you have advice for people.
Yeah, typically the best thing to do is to set up a limited liability company. And there are a couple of different reasons for that, but the primary reason is to protect it from creditors. So if you have other things like you own a home, you have other investable assets, maybe even other real estate, you're going to want to protect those assets from being taken in a lawsuit that's against the property that you put into the LLC. And there are ways to do that. So one way would be to create a California LLC, which might be good, but you may want to consider setting up a Delaware LLC and then foreign filing your LLC here in California. And the reason for that is that the charging order is a limited remedy in Delaware, which gives us a little bit more support. It puts another barrier between you and the would-be creditor.
Okay, so what you're saying is like if you buy an investment property that says part of your retirement, you're paying it off so you can get retirement income, and then all of a sudden you get into a car accident, it's your fault, and now someone's suing you, okay? If you have it in an LLC over here, they can't get to it, or let's say they can't get to it as easily as if you just had it in your name. That's
actually a secondary benefit, but the primary benefit is, let's say you had something catastrophic happen on the property and the renters are now suing you. You know, maybe there was a fire because of faulty wiring, or somebody wandered onto the property and got hurt, or maybe the tenant had a dog and did something malicious to somebody that came onto the property as a visitor. They're going to sue the property owner. So if it's in an LLC, they'll sue the LLC and not the person individually.
That's really neat. Now, what about, and everyone should do that, it sounds like there's no reason not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What if I have multiple properties? Do I need multiple LLCs, or can you put those all under the same veil?
That is also a depends question, but typically if you want the best creditor protection, having each one insulated in its own LLC is the best course of action. But if you're just starting out and you have 2 or 3 properties and you just don't want to spend all the money to set them up, or you don't want to spend that $800 state franchise tax board fee to California for each individual LLC, you're going to want to make sure that you at least put them all individually or all together in one LLC and maybe later spread them out among other LLCs.
Wow, she's making a lot of work for you here, Mr. Devore.
Yes.
Mr. Carlsbad, I should say. You're going to have to get on the phone and call all of your property buyers who bought investment properties and say, you got to call Brenda.
Well, and that's one of the benefits, like I said, and that's one of the reasons why I like working with Brenda, is my expertise is real estate, and I don't want to even try to guide people in any direction that may not be the most beneficial to them. Brenda is an invaluable asset to do that for me. Yeah,
and now we also are talking about, in the world of real estate, let's go kind of to the estate planning side, with regard to property heirs, or if you have property that you plan to leave to someone else. You have tips for that too, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that the state of the art has changed with estate planning, and most people realize that in California it makes sense to have a revocable trust, and typically a husband and wife will have one together, or somebody that is a single person would have one for themselves, but they're usually going to be listing their children or other heirs that they want to benefit. But the best thing to do is to consider leaving it in a way that's creditor protected.
Okay.
So what that means is we set up inside the trust a continuing trust that only gets formed upon death. So once the grantor of the trust, the person creating the trust, dies, and then it goes on to the next person or generation, we can set it up in such a way where there's creditor protection from, say, a divorcing spouse, from a bankruptcy, from a lawsuit, or from some other type of creditor.
Really?
So there's a special way that we can do that. And on top of it, if it's appropriate, we can make that beneficiary controlled by putting the beneficiary on as trustee of their own separate share trust at a stated age. So in my case, my kids at 35 can each take over as trustee of their own separate shares.
Wow, that's incredible. Bankruptcy protection, I mean, it's really difficult to insulate yourself from that.
Yeah.
Does the trigger have to be death, or could there be another trigger established for this trust that automatically starts?
You can set up a trust while you're alive that's an irrevocable trust and give assets to that trust and do the same type of planning for a child. You don't have to wait till death.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is great stuff.
I'm telling you.
Great job, Bryan.
Thank you.
Let's go to social media, because I wanted to
Yes.
find out how many people out there are interested in potentially purchasing a rental property.
Yep, so very simple question. Would you consider buying a rental property in Carlsbad? Alan Lechuza, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, says yes, without a question. And Dana Rosenstock Green says, if I could, I would.
I think the people on social media have the hardest names ever. Like, I've never seen John Smith
I know, right?
comment. You know, it's always someone with 3 names and 14 letters each.
Right.
Mr. Carlsbad.
Yes, sir.
Dana said, I'm going to just call her Dana, if I could, I would. Do you think that there are a lot of people who don't realize they could own investment property just because they haven't checked into it?
I think that's correct. I think that some people feel that, oh, that's for the very rich people who can afford to buy rental properties. But there are ways to leverage either your money or maybe someone else's money to purchase an investment property, make it part of your estate planning process. So I think that if people researched it some more, there are other ways that they can find out, and I'm happy to share that information with your viewers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to buy a rental property in Carlsbad, obviously Mr. Carlsbad is the right guy to call. And you have some really cool information to give away today, too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So I'm really excited because there's a lot of different data that's out there available for people to research what home values are doing. One of them is provided by the North San Diego County Association of Realtors called the HomeDex Report. And what's so exciting about it is I can get a report for any zip code throughout Carlsbad, and it talks about how many new listings are on the market compared to last year, how many more homes are in escrow than there were last year. So you can really see different trends of what's happening in the market relative to the rest of the county. So if anyone who's watching is interested in getting one of these reports, either one time or an ongoing basis, they can send me a text message from the number on the screen. I'd be happy to provide that information for them.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's almost like a micro market analysis.
Exactly.
Per zip code.
Correct.
In Carlsbad, and you'll give it to them for free. And if someone wants it to continue to come every week or every month or however often it's available, you can set that up for them as well.
Absolutely.
Totally free.
Yep.
Fantastic. What else is going on in Carlsbad we should know about? You have anything hot on the market?
Well, so we do have a listing that's hot on the market, and we just did a complete rehab in this home to make it as appealing as possible to everybody. It's in a community that I know and love, Rancho Carrillo,
No
which we've
way.
talked about once or twice before in the show.
Mr. Carlsbad has a listing in Rancho Carrillo.
I know.
Ooh.
In other news,
Who knew?
the sky is blue. And so it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home, just under 2,800 square feet, and we're listed for a range of $799 to $825. It's actually priced very competitively to the market. We're getting a lot of activity on it, and I'd love to have one of your viewers have the opportunity to take a look at it.
Okay, we'll absolutely give them the opportunity to do that. Just text Mr. Devore if you'd like a private showing. Appreciate you both coming in today. Brenda, thank
Thank
you
you.
for your
Thank
time.
you.
Mr. Carlsbad, as always, you the man.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.